Cool. Okay, so we are going to be looking at our new 10 block system. I did just share this with you, and your AD should have shared it with you. So like my team, I just shared it with you. Go to your, we're going to do this all together. Share the screen. If you go to your Google Drive, everybody knows how to do this, right? We go to our Google Drive, and then over on the left-hand side, we choose shared with me. It should be a relatively close shared with you document. It should be your team name, 10 blocks, 2024. Is there anybody in the room that's having trouble finding that? Cool, I like it. Okay, so then on your sheet, the very next thing that you're going to want to be doing is making sure that you have a tab at the bottom with your name on it. And if you don't, you want to make sure that we create that. Okay, so what we're doing is, you don't have a tab at the bottom, you're going to choose your master, you're going to right click, and you're going to choose duplicate. And then you're going to choose right click on the copy of master and choose rename and change that to your name.
It's not showing that bottom part on your screen up there.
Oh,
so,
it doesn't right.
Yeah, so does anybody not know where she was talking about clicking to find the master, the tabs at the bottom?
Let me see if I can share just that screen. Now does it show it?
Just said. No.
What if I do that? Can you see it then?
No, we just zoomed in on it.
That's the files that they all.
It's just doing it higher.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
How do you show the whole screen?
I wonder if you could move your dot. And stuff. Okay.
I know I was in a lot in German.
Right, y'all are getting ahead, I can see it.
Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we all have our name in here, yes? We have our tab with our name at the bottom. Everybody give me a thumbs up. Yes, I have one. Okay, cool. So now in this box at the top, we're gonna start at the top. Obviously, down for the account, Kansas City, I have not updated your Zoom link, but I will do that for you. Okay, so it won't say Terry's Zoom link. I will make sure that that gets updated for you by over the weekend. Okay, that's not necessarily something you need right this second. You're going to change your agent name. You're going to add your 5-digit agent number. Your agency number is a 2-digit number. Okay, so go ahead and fill that in.
Done. For anyone who does not know their 5-digit or 2-digit, Deanne has it written down in the contact list.
It's also in your ICM. It's also with your AD. But yes, if you don't know where that is from your training,
We'll come back.
you can come back to that. Okay. Obviously, if you scroll to the right, it's going to give you the week beginning. So we're going to be updating that. So it shouldn't be the week beginning in 9/16. It should now be week of 9/23. You good to go over there? Need help?
Oh, yeah.
It's cool. No, it's totally fine. I just want to make sure everybody's with me. Okay, this first 2 boxes here, you guys, on this line, you are going to be entering your start time. So we're going to use this as an example. Monday's times are already inputted in there. Okay, if you're planning on not being here at 8 o'clock, then you can make that adjustment. And then 1700 is 5 p.m., right? But on Tuesday, you should be giving us what time you plan to start. Remember, we're talking about the first walk-in. You are expecting to start my first walk-in at 8:30. That's my start time. Not I have to leave for 2 hours, drive 2 hours, and then that's my start time. Okay, that's an adjustment that's being made. They want that start time to be your actual start time. Drive time not included, because if you work at McDonald's, you don't get to clock in whenever you leave your house. You clock in whenever you get to McDonald's, right? Okay. If you have a different discussion with your AD, that's on you and your AD. Okay. So if I'm going to enter my time and I'm going to start at 8:30, I'm going to be entering that with a colon as if it's a time. Yes. And then if I have this time and I'm going to finish, my last walk-in is going to be at 4:30 p.m. If I just type 4:30, what happens to my time here that it logged my hours? It says -4. Why? Because this is logging as an AM. 4:30 is AM. You either have to change that up here at the top to be 4:30 p.m. or you can change it to 1600. Right? That's just the way that Google and Excel does that. Okay, so again, you're going to put your start time when you plan to do your first walk-in and your end time. Did we already have that on our old 10 blocks? Yes, you did. You had your start and your end time. So now we're just changing it so it calculates how many hours you're planning on working. Everybody cool with that so far? Cool beans. Okay. The next section is how many packs do I need for this route for that day? Remember, Bourbon talked about calculating how many packs you're going to need. We can go back and fill this in once we know what we're doing each day. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to help calculate that out. So put a pin in that one, but this is where we're going to put in how many packs we need. Monday, how many packs do I need? A total of 27, because I figured out how many I need for my routes next week. Okay. Monday's schedule is already typed in here. If you're in leadership, you're going to make that adjustment for when you're meeting with Tony, if you have that. If we have something that changes, then you can add that in. I did not add in your Friday schedule, but I will do that for you as an example, because we have 1 o'clock training, 2 o'clock SA bullpen, and GA bullpen. Those are happening at 2 o'clock. You might have certification, whatever the case may be. Okay. The rest of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're putting in our activity. So let's say on Tuesday, I have an enrollment that I'm supposed to be there at 8:30. So I'm going to check my 8:30 box. Okay. And I'm going to write in here the same thing I would have written in my old 10 blocks: enrollment at ABC Plumbing. I have 5 employees. Actually, I'll do 10. 10 employees in person, my franchise number, and it's in St. Clair, Missouri. I don't know. Okay. I am going to come over here and I'm going to type in how many employees do I have? I have 10 employees. I'm calculated out 15 minutes to enroll them. So how much time do I need for that enrollment? Tells me 2.5 hours is how much time I'm going to block off for that enrollment. Okay. I have my enrollment. I typed it in here. I said how many employees I have. Then I went to the left and I put it into my enrollment calculator. How many employees times 15 minutes, number of minutes per employee to enroll, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Everybody see how I figured that out? Then I'm going to come over and I'm going to add these boxes. So 2.5 hours from 8:30 is 11 a.m. Yes. So you can merge those cells if you'd like. If that freaks you out, you can also just color the box. That chunk of time is taken up with my enrollment. But what does that mean for the rest of my day? I have time to do something else, right? A 10-man enrollment shouldn't take us all day. So I need to figure out how many other walk-ins am I able to get done. If I'm going to enroll from 8:30 to 11, if I'm still going to work 11 to 12, how many walk-ins should I be able to do in an hour? Based on the calculation that we use, field activity. Thank you, Bill. You got it. 4. So I'm going to have my committed walk-ins of 4. And then I take an hour for lunch, maybe, right? I don't know. Maybe we need an hour. And then if I work from 1 to 4:30, how many walk-ins can I get done in 3.5 hours? 14, so I'm gonna add 14 here. So 14 and 4 is my committed number of walk-ins, and I'm gonna type in there prospecting St. Clair, Missouri, right? If I have any scheduled follow-ups, maybe I have an appointment at 2:15 with XYZ Plumbing. I can put that in my box. I have a follow-up with ABC Roofing at 3:30. Okay, so I'm going to put those things in here so I know what I'm doing. I'm going to fill in my yellow box. I have 4 and 14, plus I have my enrollment here. Cool. Okay. If I scroll back down further, when I build my route, I should be able to tell when my first walk-in time is. How do I know that? My scheduled route first walk-in time, that would be on my route.
Up at the top.
It's also at the top, right?
Well, no, let me
No.
clarify. At the top is when you're leaving your house.
Yeah,
So you have to look at the time next to your first walk-in arrived at. what it is.
At the top of a route. I think we're talking, she's saying top of her 10 blocks. We're saying top of route. We're saying top of them because there's 2 different things. Yes? Okay. So let me pull up a route here. Hold on. So that way, well, I don't want you to be confused. That's why we're talking about it. Okay. So this is my start time. That's what time I'm saying I'm going to be at my first walk-in is 8:30. Yes? But does it match what I put on my route? My route first walk-in time, if I'm looking at this, my route first walk-in time is estimated arrival at 7:58.
that was meeting at a Walmart, so.
Sure.
But you, so you don't want where you're meeting at a Walmart.
Right.
You want
Your first walk-in is where that's gonna be. So his first walk-in time is gonna be 7:58. Yes? He told me on his 10 blocks, let's say that this is just, I know it's not Bobby's, but like, he said his first walk-in is gonna be 8:30. On his route, it says his first walk-in is gonna be 7:58. Is that good? Yes, it's fine, right? Okay, we don't want it to be like, oh, now my walk-in starts at 9:15, then there's a problem. We didn't match it, okay? Make the adjustment if you need to so that you can make this happen. Like we could have changed the start time or whatever the case may be to make it line up, okay? The reason that we're asking you to fill in this box is so that we can see if your route matches. I said my first walk-in is gonna be 8:30, but my route says I'm not gonna get there until 11:15. My route doesn't match.
And why do we want them to match? When we're doing this, why do we care about this? Because I know you're all thinking it. It's because your 10 block is your plan for success. It's your goals, right? Actually, that's if your 10 block is your goals and what you want to do to be successful. Your route is your plan to make that happen. So if they don't match,
How are you gonna be successful if you said you're gonna start at 8:30 and you're gonna work until 4:30, but your route runs from 11:30 to 2? Whose job is that to make sure that you are set up for success? It's the leadership. We have to make sure of that. So this is helping us to make sure that it all lines up. So that it's not like, well, Danielle, why didn't you get your 20 walk-ins? And you're like, well, dude, I didn't even have 20 walk-ins on my route. You shouldn't, she shouldn't be leaving without having that conversation with me. Like, how are you supposed to do 20 stops if you don't even have 20 stops on your route? It's impossible for you to do that because you're not even set up for success. Okay. If I'm looking at his route as the example and I go down here and I talk about my last walk-in, my estimated arrival for that last walk-in is 11:39 a.m. Okay, so if I'm looking at this, just this information, right? And this is a Friday, so it's fine, but I'm just saying it as an example. My last walk-in should be 11:38 or 39. Sorry, I can't read. Then he has that drive time to get here, to get back to the Walmart, and then we got to get back over to the office. He should be arriving at 1 o'clock. Does that time line up for a Friday? Yes. Okay. So that's where we're finding this information. If I'm looking at my route and I'm looking at when I'm supposed to, my estimated arrival time for my walk-in and my estimated arrival time for my last walk-in, it should match.
I want to interject here a little bit. So when you do a full day's route, we all know that when you do a full day's route, it tells you that you're done way earlier than you can actually knock out, right? Because things happen. We get appointments, we do whatever. So we're not freaking out about the fact that it's off. If it's way off, if it says you're done by 11 and you're planning on going till 4:30, then you're probably going to want to add some more.
We don't
okay?
have enough stops yet.
Right, yeah. But if it's off, if you're down there and it says 3 something or 2 something and you're planning on being done at 4:30, we know. So we're looking for a baseline. So enter it anyway, and it'll start giving you a baseline of like, okay, I need to make sure that my time that I have at least to this point, because that's how long it takes me on my walk-ins. And then if that ends up being a problem, then you can deal with that. Like, I'm spending way too much time in a walk-in, right? So.
And you guys are on, like, just because I can see, like, Anthony, you just popped into our 10 blocks. Are you guys on the new 10 blocks? Like, can you see that?
Yeah.
On your thing? Okay, your computers might have just like went to sleep or something. So I was just making sure we're all on the same page. Cool. Cool. I was just like, oh no, we're looking at an old one. Okay. So we got that. Perfect. Yeah, it just popped in. Wake up, computers, wake up. Okay. Then it's going to ask you how many number of walk-ins are on your route. So if I have this and it says 19 stops, but I have my home and my office and my meeting place and my meeting place, how many stops are actually on this route? 15, which is how many we ask for on a Friday is 15. Good job, Bob. Okay. Yeah. So that number would be 15 here. Do I have any appointments or scheduled follow-ups on the route? Probably not, because they're still new. But if I did, I would write that number here. Do we all know how to find that on a route? It should say, I could probably actually pull one up here because I had appointments with Nicole yesterday. So we have, you have a route with an appointment. It doesn't look like a normal walk-in stop on your route. It's going to say appointment. Load route. You can do it. You can do it.
You're also logging in as 27.
I know it's like a ton of stuff in here. So it's going to pop up as appointment. Okay. My appointment is set for 9 o'clock. My estimated arrival time is 8:55. Is that appropriate? Yes. Okay. So on that box, you're going to add appointments and scheduled follow-ups on the route. Okay. So I'm adding those. Go ahead.
And then interjecting, so if you have a number where it says the yellow appointment schedule and follow-ups down there, it should also be in the list above it, right? On the day, you should have put it in the time slots where that appointment was.
Like I have an appointment and a follow-up. So this number would be 2. Yes. Cool. Okay. The yellow is expected to be filled out before you leave on Monday. The blue would be filled out at the end of the day with your actuals. Because you're not going to know that yet, right? We haven't done it yet. Same thing for my actual walk-ins, my DMs met, my appointments set, all of that stuff. You don't have that yet. You have to wait until your end of the day. But that's what we're going to be asking you guys to do is log that in so we can see. Here's another thing. I had this happen with Lori last week. Her presentations didn't match the dashboard. The old dashboard, yes. The new dashboard, no. The only way that we know that is if she's looking at her dashboard. So then she can let me know, like, hey, this doesn't look right. But sorry, we're just going to throw this out there. I'm sure Hunter can agree. Danielle can agree. The longer you're in this business, the more balls and the more plates that you're spinning. So like, I can't always check everybody's data. Did you have 15 walk-ins with 3 presentations? And like, I'm going to have that conversation, but can I remember that after the 7th phone call I've made tonight? And then I have to go back and change that. That's your responsibility. That's your business, right? So you want to make sure that it's correct. Double check that that dashboard is matching so that later on you can be like, Hunter, I see 6 presentations, but I gave 7. Why is it not logging? It could have been we missed the 20%. It could have been, you know, like we didn't hit the completed. Who the hell knows? But we got to find that faster than a week later whenever we're at recognition and be like, why? Right? So you caught it really fast because you were looking at your dashboard. So now we're filling in the spreadsheet so that it all matches. When we have the 10 blocks matching what's happening in Epic, then we know that routes are better than they have been. This is going to help us, help you be successful. Like I realize it's another step, but what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna hopefully be in the groove of doing this so that we can see like, okay, I did 25 walk-ins, but I had no DMs. That happens. Okay, what's the problem? Maybe we don't have, it's not a great area. Maybe it's, I don't have any research-based rapport. I don't know what to talk about with these gatekeepers. Maybe my gatekeeper script is off. I'm not disengaging. So we can coach from that. Make sense? Okay.
And then notes of the day.
Yes.
That's important. So you've got all your plan in place, right? Things still come up. So we have, like she said, we're spinning all the things, right? So if you go home sick or your car breaks down, put it in the note of the day. All right. That way on Friday, when I'm looking back going, oh my gosh, how come they didn't get all the walk-ins and what happened? Rather than me trying to remember it, I can go, oh yeah, yep, that's right. She would have, or he would have, but their car broke down.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't even know. I've had multiple conversations with people on my team and been like, what the hell happened? And they're like, I went to a funeral today. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an asshole. I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't care about you. I just have all the things. And so I forget. It's not that I don't care. I'm like, hey, what happened? And you're like, I did tell you. So
Right. And then
I
if we
just
get
can't
asked
remember.
by somebody else, then that way go, hold on, let me just look.
yeah, let me look.
This is what happened that day.
So this is what we should be seeing. We're going to be a little bit more detailed in our 10 blocks so we can tell where we need to pull for our route. When we're doing that, then we can see, oh, I need to have 18 committed walk-ins here. So my route needs to have a minimum of 18. It wouldn't be a bad idea to have a few extra because what happens if my enrollment goes sideways? That's the entire conversation that Bourbon had with us on Monday. What happens if that enrollment gets sidetracked? Now I have an extra 2.5 hours that I could be prospecting if I had a route that was ready. Okay. So when I'm building my route, I want to make sure I have extra on there. It's always good to have extra. You can use them for later. Now I don't want 50 on my route because then I'm in the field picking and choosing. I don't want that. But 5 extra is not going to hurt you. Because what if the door is locked? What if they have COVID? What if that stuff happens for them too. But again, you're setting yourself up for that possibility of success. Okay. Let's scroll over here. In this notes section, it's reminding you that if you're in a committed walk-ins, and this is for our SAs and our GAs, when we've committed to doing these walk-ins and it's yellow, we are assuming that you're going to be on your route. If you are going to be on someone else's route, you need to have that colored in purple. You're still going to be like, are we still listing the number?
No number.
Okay. So remember we used to do 0. If you just do 0, it'll be fine. But the whole point of it is like, I'm not just sitting at home twiddling my thumbs. I'm on a route with somebody.
Can you, like on that Thursday, show what that would look like?
I can definitely do that. So let's say I am prospecting in person with Lori on Lori's route in Cuba, Missouri. And then I'm going to do that in my light purple. And I'm going to say 0 because where should the number be? Should be on Lori's route. Lori's 10 blocks. She said that we're going to do 10 walk-ins that day. But because I'm with Lori, I'm not going to build a route. I said I was on Lori's route.
So clarifying question.
Yeah.
On the Tuesday, the prospecting on in-person St. Clair, you didn't have highlighted as any other special color, even if it's yours. So are we just gonna?
You can or you don't have to. It's a personal preference. I like color blocking, right? So it tells me what time chunk I'm expecting it to be. You said you could also merge the cells, right? I don't like merging and unmerging because it messes up things.
I'm thinking of teaching this to agents and then
They need to know how to use the color bucket, how to use the fill
The
bucket.
fill bucket isn't a bad idea. I think that's a little easier to fix than
For sure,
merge
'cause
and
you can
unmerge,
just reset it.
right? Like, oh crap, I didn't want that to be yellow. I wanted to be whatever.
yeah.
The only time that I'm concerned about you having purple is if you're on someone else's route.
Okay.
Right?
So green is still money.
I like green as money. That's a money opportunity. That's what we do on our enrollment calendar. That is gonna be personal preference for you guys that are in leadership, asking your people. Literally, if you wanna just say prospecting St. Clair and you committed to 15 walk-ins in the morning and you're saying I'm by myself, whatever. But the reason that that box here is purple, I did tell Terry, I was like, well, I'm not changing colors, right? Because that can be confusing. You guys figure out what works best for your team. Adding more detail to it is what the expectation is. Colors is not necessarily like, I'm like, Christy, what the heck? It's not purple, what the heck?
Except for that minute walk-in box.
I
If
just-
you're walking in with someone else. you
And
need it
it's
to be
on
purple.
their route.
Because if it says prospecting in Cuba, Missouri, but you didn't say I was with Lori and I didn't say I was on Lori's route, and you have 15 there, I'm going to expect you to have 15
And
walk-ins.
then you don't, you come at the end of the week.
And I'm like,
zero
bro, what are you
walk-ins.
doing? And you're like, I was with Lori. Okay, and how was I supposed to know that? Fair enough. You guys are already doing this. We're just asking you to be a little bit more detailed in it.
So
Some of us are real detailed anyway. Pretty sure Danielle's 10 blocks are probably real detailed, right?
It's. Yeah. Sorry, I'm throwing you under the bus. Even like not new agents screw things up in it, and it's hard to fix it when it's basic stuff, so I'm trying
We've
to.
locked some cells.
I'm gonna lock cells. Right now, they're not locked because I couldn't duplicate the permissions from one sheet to the next. I have to go in and individually do it. And I did not have time to do that on my lunch.
That's
So I will get it done this weekend though.
I'm just trying to find the best way to like.
transfer the skill without having to rebuild 10 blocks every time.
Well, I just said I was gonna say, pass on the information in a very bare bones way that anyone.
They're gonna watch you. They're gonna watch you do it. Diana's recording this. And you're gonna have to inspect. It's gonna be I mean, the first time that we ever came up with the 10 block on a computer, it took us a while. Right?
10
But it
blocks
does
are
happen.
hard
Yeah.
when they start.
I get it. This is not that different than what we were doing before. Before the box was real open and you could just type enrollment ABC plumbing. And then what happened was we went to the enrollment at ABC plumbing and it went sideways and people were like, I don't know what else to do. Or I went to my enrollment at ABC plumbing and I had 10 employees and I was done for the day. We've all had an agent or somebody that did that. I drove to that enrollment, I enrolled it, that was my plan for the day, now I'm going home. But if it's only 10 employees, should it really take all day? That's a conversation between you and your AD if you really think it should take all day. Okay, if it's not, then the reason that we have that calculator is to show you there is opportunity here. Are we prospecting around that opportunity? And by blocking off times in a half an hour span, which is what we learn about in 101, 201, 301, is to maximize the time that you have. Instead of everybody saying, I don't have enough time to get all the things done, let's maximize the time that we do have by figuring it out this. Because we end up I don't know, I waste a lot of time. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's a
You're gonna
shit
have
show,
to
then we'll
learn.
figure it out. You what?
I'm just telling him who his people are, that he gets to make sure that they watch and do what.
So up here at the top, you guys, after I put in my start time, it also calculates out my total hours planned for the work. And then when I'm done down here and I've done my actuals, it's gonna actually calculate out my field hours worked. These are gonna be formulas that Terry created and we'll calculate it out for you. Those will be blocked. You can't do anything with it, but then you can actually see how many field hours did I actually work, where I said I was going to work 17, and how many did I actually work with my committed versus my actual.
So does the number on the top that does it on its own too?
And
So
this
it'll
is,
calculate here.
this isn't a gotcha. This is so that you guys understand that what you're, when we tell you, when we hire you, we're like, hey, you know, this is, you're in business for yourself, you give it all you got, 110%, and you're like, yeah, I am. I'm giving it 110%. Can you see that? Are you giving it 110%? Because sometimes what we think we have up here, we're doing a lot of spinning in place, right? So field activity we can measure and you can see. And you can say, okay, you know what, maybe I'm taking 20 minutes to log that stop, you know?
So.
Yep.
It's gonna be a general question. Board meetings and stuff, board meetings, 6 p.m. It's on a 6 p.m. slot, it's gonna be. So. I guess I like the big open one because then you can put the times, like, yes, I had my people put time, what you're doing, this. If part of the expectation is to show those blocks in order for accountability. How are you able to add to that without making it complicated?
My suggestion, you tell me if this would not work for you in that situation, but my suggestion would be to change these times here to be 6:30, 7,
But we're
7:30.
gonna block it so they can't change the time. Cause that'll be something that people mess up. I would suggest that you pick a time where there's not something and say, board meeting at 6 p.m. Right, because it's just you're just trying to visually say, I have a board meeting at this time. There's nothing tying those sections in with any calculations of numbers.
And again, if we feel like this doesn't work here for whatever reasoning, and we want to go back into like, this is the 12 to 5 period, that's a conversation that we can have, because we are using, like, we're trying to figure out what's going to work best for us in our agency and where we want to move to. So it's not like you guys are like, we're telling you that you have to do all the things and we're coming down at you. We're trying to figure out how do we get from point A where we are to point B where home office said we need to be as quickly and as efficiently as we can.
And this stuff helps us have those conversations. Like, okay, well, you're telling us we have to do this.
It is
maybe it's
data.
unrealistic, yeah.
So it's like, if you're looking at it and you're like, okay, well, I mean, Lori, can I say what I did?
Yeah.
She and Reggie went out on Wednesday and they had a couple of appointments and they did half Reggie's route and half Lori's route because they were in the same area and they had the appointments. And when you sent me and she said 6 walk-ins, I was like, what the fuck? I like freaked out and I was like, what? And I didn't like wait and think, because Reggie had texted me at halftime and said, I have 13 walk-ins, a presentation, yada yada. And I was like, how do you want me to have 6 walk-ins? Like, I was like, oh my God, Bourbon's gonna freak out. I have a meeting with her tomorrow. Like I freaked out. And then she's like, no, didn't happen. I was like, because I forgot, right? Because I was in interviews all day. So I'm like, shit. So I don't want to have that conversation, because not only are you guys having the conversations, we are too. Okay, and Tony is too. So like, I have to be able to say, no, they did. It was just the reason Epic shows 6 is because they had 2 presentations, one on hers, one on Reggie's, and they were following up on appointments that they had booked together. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, check off the list, right? But if it's been a day and I can't remember what they're doing. Hopefully your team's big enough that you can't remember what everybody's doing. That's the point, right? They're supposed to be in charge of their business, and then that next level takes care of it. I can't always remember all the things. So it's helpful for us to be like, hold on, let me see. Oh yeah, the reason that we only had 5 walk-ins is because her car broke down. Or why is her last walk-in at 3:15? Oh, she had to go get her kid from school and it was on the 10 blocks. Or she had a doctor's appointment or whatever. It's on the 10 blocks. Okay, so we're already doing this. We're already putting our stuff into the 10 blocks. This is just getting a little bit more, asking for the things that we've been asking for, just in a little bit more detailed manner. When you're doing your enrollment, you should be putting your franchise number and where it's located and what your start time is and how many employees are there. But I've seen 10 blocks that just say enrollment at ABC Plumbing.
And
So
times
you
that
have-
don't change, right? Like
8:30 to 5,
50.
8:30 to 5, 8:30 to 5, right? But like, when did that enrollment start? How many employees were there? Did it take you 45 minutes to drive there or 3 hours to drive there? Like, that's important for us to know. Because me going to the same enrollment that Christy's going to, my drive time's a lot different than hers is, depending on where we are. So like, I want to know that. Like, okay, it took her 3.5 hours to get there. I want to know that. Like, I don't want somebody thinking that you're going to drive 3.5 hours, you're going to work prospecting 12 hours, and you're going to drive 3.5 hours home. I'm not going to do that. Are you going to do that? No, none of us are going to work 18 hours. But when I have to have a conversation with Bourbon and she's like, why is there no prospecting? I can be like, listen, it's a 3.5 hour drive. I just asked her to drive 3.5 hours. That's an extra 7 hours on her work day. Does that make sense? But I can't remember that if it's not written down.
So question.
Yeah.
I've got plenty of those. So when something pops up, let's say Tuesday, your car breaks down, end of the day, so like your Tuesday stuff is fine, but Wednesday, that's gonna change. Are we, as an agency, or is this gonna be team-based as to whether you edit your 10 blocks and inform your upline, or you just put a note at the bottom of Tuesday and then a note on Wednesday?
Great question. So, when, at least my preference would be you're putting a note in here where it says notes about the day, because there's a box there for it. You're also gonna notify me, because I don't always look at 10 blocks once it's turned in, right? But our 10 blocks are due to Deanne on Mondays because they have to be turned into home office on Tuesday. So you editing them on Wednesday doesn't change anything. Home office still expects you to have done that. So editing the 10 blocks up at the top doesn't really affect me. The bottom is where I'm gonna be like, oh, this is what happened.
And I'm gonna adjust that a little bit, cause I think it'll be team by team.
I do
Right.
think so.
That's
Yeah,
what I was-
Cause I know, like, I would like to see if your car broke down on Wednesday, how are you pivoting for Thursday and Friday? What are you doing? Are you off?
Packs, are you
Yeah,
enrolling virtually? Are you
right.
calling enrollments? What are you doing instead?
Cause
I'm
then
picking up a ride
I'm
with
gonna,
somebody.
I'm gonna start printing mine off on Friday. So that I can have that conversation when we have team meeting, hey, here's your completed, let's have a talk. Like, how's it going, right? So I want it to be an accurate reflection of the week that we just finished, so that I can have an accurate conversation.
I know it's plenty of people that will update their 10 blocks for
Yeah.
sure at the top. I guess I just need to be better about downloading them, so I have a,
We're gonna
Perfect.
change our mindset from it being a box I have to check to get done on Monday to being a tool that I'm gonna use to help me get to where I wanna be.
So I have a
Right.
question.
Yeah.
You brought up re-enrollment. So like PACS, we do have like expectations when it comes to how many you should do in an hour, how many you should get done. That's set by not just like your essay, but like your team
Your
and
route, whatever,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah. So calling re-enrollments, calling virtual enrolling, like I see that there's an AP, like a, what was it?
yeah, what
Well,
you're
like,
looking
we
for.
haven't
Yeah,
started talking about
you're,
that yet.
it's
Yeah.
committed is what you
Committed.
want.
So if you do virtual enrolling or calling re-enrollments, is there an expectation, like a baseline as to how many that should be? Or is it dependent per team?
I think that's gonna have to be dependent per team because
Okay.
not everybody on my team is trained on how to book enrollments. So I couldn't expect Lori to make 6 phone calls because she doesn't know how to do that.
You
Right?
can put that in the note, that big note section above there, that's why it's kind of there, just wide open.
It's coming, girl. It's coming.
Yeah. And there's other places where we can add if you guys don't have enough, things like that. But again, that's a one-off, right? So not everybody's gonna need that.
I'm thinking of it not just the age and level, but the essay level. That's
Yeah,
fine.
For
I
sure,
mean, since you mentioned like pivoting, like what are you gonna do in response?
for sure.
Okay.
And again, like, if you're like, the whole point of us coming down and saying like, this is the more detailed approach and why Bourbon said you need to have a plan B is because what's happening. And I'm sure you guys have been here a minute and seen it, not necessarily for yourself, but for someone else. Oh, well, that plant went sideways, so now I'm just gonna sit at home and do nothing. That's fine if that's your choice, right? My car broke down, so now I'm off work.
You gotta have fire in belly.
I mean, like, it's 1099, right? So like, we all have the same opportunity here and we all have the same amount of resources. So you can go out and do whatever you want to do, but then later on, you can't be upset that you didn't get what you wanted out of it if you didn't have a plan B. Because that's the thing, like, am I expecting Hunter to have out every single day? No, as his AD, I would say no, because if he's not doing, like, if his enrollment went sideways, I'd be like, Hunter, you need to go and get in the car with Danielle and go out and inspect training or whoever. You guys are right here, right? Like, I'm not going to be like, well, Hunter, why don't you go out and close your own case? Like, yeah, sure, go close your own case. Great. But am I going to ask him to have a route every single day as my GA? I wouldn't ask him to do that. I would be like, okay, so what else can we do? You can book enrollments. You can get out there and inspect training. You can go and drop in with this new agent that has 3 appointments. You can go and close. Like, that's what I need you to do, right? So, but does he have a plan in the back of his head that, oh shit, this just went sideways? Oh no, I'm just gonna go put my feet up and have the day off. Like, Hunter doesn't do that. So like, what's the plan B? That's what mindset she wants us to shift to. What's that plan B? As an agent, there is no other plan B. That's all I know how to do is prospect, right? But let's say they have an enrollment booked because they closed a case and that enrollment goes sideways. Everybody has had that happen. The DM gets sick. Their kid has to get picked up from school, whatever the case is, right? Do you have a backup plan for what that looks like? Do they have 25 stops on their routes? If not, then that's our problem. We didn't set them up for success. Okay, and then the last thing is down here at the four-week forecast, right? So this looks very similar to what it was doing before. This is Monday. Obviously, Mondays we don't have a whole lot of those, but you know what? That's fine. But you're doing new, or it's new and renewal, right?
Yep.
Excuse me. Is it a new account or a renewal account? What's the account name? And then how many employees are eligible? Right? So why do we need to know how many employees are eligible? And how many supplies you need, right? So like over here on the right, it's going to tell us how many booklets we need.
This also is, like to help Deanne to know how many she needs to make sure she has. You gotta, you close that whale that's 200, 500 people. She needs to make sure she's got supplies coming for that.
She's still only gonna check the AD, so right?
Right, yeah.
But like if I look at yours and I see like you have an enrollment
Yeah,
and
that's
I
where I'm
didn't have
looking.
that on my AD list, then that's a problem, right? So I'll try to figure out how to do those formulas to calculate it into the AD once we have everybody's in there. But the making sure that you have enough supplies comes from our 10 blocks in our 4-week forecast. Like almost never do we have a place that closes for 200 employees that we didn't know was coming and they're going to enroll tomorrow.
Yeah.
Almost never. I mean, is there a possibility? Sure, there's a possibility, but not a problem. We can't expect Deanne to have 200, 300, 400 employee booklets on hand because that's a lot of money that Tony's spending on those supplies. And we can't just come in here and take it because we didn't have it on our 4-week forecast. Christy has hers, Danielle has hers, Terry has hers, Derek has his, and Diana didn't put anything on there and I go and take all the supplies. So now everybody else has to just figure it out, right?
I'm gonna tell you something you're gonna hate.
Okay.
There's a formula problem for calculating the number of employee booklets.
Okay.
What's,
It doesn't, so, I can't explain, but I can show you. Formula's confusing. So if I put re-enrollment, St. Louis Denco, 10 employees. I want St. Louis Denco, 10 employees. It doesn't show up here because the formula only has it for those specific boxes.
well, we can address that. We'll
Yeah.
fix it.
Let's let you know.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. That's what we want to know. Cause like, remember, we're playing with it. It's still new. So
Yeah.
if you guys find something that you're like, oh,
Yeah.
good.
And we're
Perfect.
putting a lot together at once, so if we miss just get off by itself. Yeah.
I will. Fine, we're gonna have on each one, we're gonna have a master, which means no, it's all locked. We can duplicate again and start over, and we'll have an example. Most of us already have one of those on our 10 blocks anyway, so that whenever you are training a new person, or you're in there and you're like, I forget how to put that in there, we will have an example for you of what that looks like, okay?
Give me an example of a special request.
So a special request would be, has 2 employees that speak Spanish.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Or anything that's supplies wise, right? So I need the child safe kits.
We do
I
have
need-
Spanish books, so
No one
I
can
need
say that
Spanish
you can speak
books.
Spanish.
I need Spanish books, I need a Spanish summary sheet, I need Spanish brochures, we have all of that. I do.
It's in there. Or.
Well, it's in our team, I bet it's not in everybody's. I gave you access to my team drive, don't give me that
Yeah.
face.
No, I'm just going, I didn't, I don't often go.
It is.
"Look at
I know.
that thing."
I wonder if Diana has that, probably
Sometimes.
yes.
Somehow.
But that would be a good example, like I have 2 employees that are gonna speak Spanish, so I need to make sure I have 2 Spanish employee booklets.
And the Spanish app downloaded on my phone.
Yeah, Google Translate is your best friend. It's free. I used it in Europe. It's fantastic. Okay, so what we want you guys to do is kind of play and put your 10 blocks into this one for this week. And then when we work with our teams,
No, I'm sorry.
I want to bring up something real quick for you guys. So some of you guys had it on there, some of you didn't. We figured it out, but it's set up right now when you change the date up in the corner. It will automatically change your dates in your 4-week forecast. What it will not do is move the stuff that was in your 4-week forecast. You will have to move that yourself. Move it up a
So
week.
this stuff that's typed here.
Uh-huh. All right, so you will still have to do that. I haven't figured out how to make that happen yet.
It needs to disappear. The top line needs to
Yeah.
disappear and go to the bottom empty.
Right? It doesn't do it. And then if you wanna
Let
scroll.
me
all the
rewrite
way
code.
down-
Right.
I'm like,
yeah, that's
she was like, how do we copy permissions? I'm like, there's gotta be a way. She pulls up some YouTube video like, okay, you're gonna write a
She
new
does
script.
that.
And I was like, absolutely not.
With the
I do not
black
have time to
screen.
do that.
Oh, nope, that's always.
Absolutely not.
She did the other
I got
day,
another
she's
question.
trying to teach me something. She's like Googling on the side. I was like, okay, my brain is
Yep,
not going that
I
fast.
just shut down. Perfect.
Employee presentations, because at least on Darcy, we use the eligible employee books
Uh-huh.
form, so if you put scheduled presentation, it wouldn't go there.
So if you put that in special
it'd
request,
be
but then
special
copy it
request.
into your AD. Like I have an employee presentation, I need 15 booklets for this. Put that in your AD's
I
thing.
just wanted to ask what.
You got it. I think that's perfectly fine.
And then show them that where it does the total, like we talked a little bit about the AP goal.
Bailey, did she have one of the ones she has? I had the ones for last week, so. Sorry, it's getting close to 2:30, so I wanted to make sure.
Thank you for checking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you get
thank very
Nicole's?
much.
I got her policy, yes. Yes.
So if you'll go over the total, the orange, and then that, I'm gonna call.
This one, the committed?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So last thing, you guys, and then we'll take a minute break before we have to get on again with Bourbon. Committed goals is what you want to see this week. Okay, so if you're enrolling, you want to have, like, I want 1,500 of AP. If you're enrolling as a leader, you're probably I have these 3 enrollments, I want to write 6,000, okay, whatever. How many PRs are you going to gather? How many referrals are you going to gather? How many walk-ins? This is calculated for you based on what you put into your 10 blocks over here and you're committed. New versus follow-up. Our goal should be 60-40. Yes. 60% new, 40% follow-up. How do I even know what my committed is if I haven't built my routes? So I have to do that, right? Pinks and versus blues. You're not going to be able to commit to how many DMs you're going to get to come out because we can't calculate that. How many appointments do you want to set? How many scheduled presentations do you want to schedule? Or how many do you already have scheduled with appointments? On the spot presentation, how many closed cases do you want for this week? Right?
All of them.
90, all of them. So then we go back in at the end of the week and calculate out our actual. Okay, this one's going to calculate for itself, but you have to tell me how many DMs you made, how many DMs you saw. It should calculate out from here. Okay, if we've entered this data here, how many walk-ins, how many DMs, how many appointments did I set, how many scheduled, then this formula is already written in the green. It should already tell me based on what I put here. But if you didn't finish this at the end of the day, it's not going to calculate my numbers.
So that should help with midday and, end
Yes.
day,
Yes,
because you're gonna be putting them in, the agent is gonna be putting them in.
yes,
So this will be great for like essays who just let their little birdie fly.
yes.
And their agents are out on their own at the very beginning. It'll be great for.
It'll be very, very good. And Terry's talking about doing like an end of day team call where she just goes through the dashboard and says, this is what I see. And if she's talking through it and she's like, I see that you had 13 walk-ins and that you had 3 DMs and you set 1 appointment and you had 2 on the spot presentations, then you can just fill in your boxes as you're talking to her, right? I haven't committed to doing that with my team yet.
So
I'm
the
not
whole team, she's gonna call the whole team at the same time?
Yeah, like a group
meeting?
call, like a Zoom call or a group team call. Right now, I'm asking my SAs to do that with their people. Like when I was an SA, I called my people. I was in charge of the agent that was underneath me to look at their data and does it match their time blocks, right?
10 minutes till Bourbon time, by the way.
Yeah. Any other last minute questions on this one? Anybody on Zoom that has any questions on this? Obviously, I'm recording it. We'll get it to you. Okay, so we're going to take a 10-minute break so that you guys can go to the bathroom. Everybody has to be on their own Zoom for the Bourbon training. This is only SAs, GAs, and ADs. So agents, you're free to do whatever you need to be doing so that you're prepared for next week. You could be working on your 10 blocks. You could be doing your packs. You could be doing your routes.
Lori, are you still considered an agent?
She's not.
I need a senior agent because Dolan should have certified theoretically.